This is the data. It brings you closer to the action, closer to the adrenaline. It connects you with other fans, makes you feel part of the crowd. It reveals new perspectives, unlocks hidden insights wherever you are. This is the data. Data is a game changer.
Rain washed away singles play on day 11 of the U.S. Open, so it's going to be 4 semifinal showdowns. First, Simona Halep, the number 2 seed, will face 26-seeded Flavia Pennetta. Then Serena Williams, the top seed looking to make history with a calendar year Grand Slam, meets the unseeded Roberta Vinci. On the men's side, it's world number 1 Novak Djokovic squaring off with the defending champion Marin Cilic. And finally, it's the all-Swiss semi. 5-time champion Roger Federer takes on his countryman, 5th-seeded Stan Wawrinka. It's all today and tonight in New York City. This is Inside the Baseline, presented by IBM. And we welcome you to the USTA Billie Jean King National Tennis Center. It's a blustery morning here as we get ready for this fantastic Friday. All 4 semifinals will be played starting at the top of the hour. And once again, hello everyone. Sam Gore, honored to be alongside Chanda Rubin today. And Chanda, we're going to talk about a whole lot of semifinal action a little bit later. So let's show people our order of play today and what's coming up, because obviously the schedule changed quite a bit from yesterday. We're going to have Pennetta and Halep first. Serena Williams and Roberta Vinci will follow that. And then not before 5 p.m. this afternoon, Djokovic will face Cilic, Wawrinka will face Federer. So those are the marquee matchups in Arthur Ashe Stadium. So Chanda, obviously the ladies yesterday came to the site, and around 3 o'clock we're told we're not going to play. Is that a good thing, a bad thing? How does it feel as a player to have that happen?
It's not a great thing to come to the site and be prepared, want to play a big semifinal match. Players are excited, a little bit anxious. So you want to get out there and you want to get the nerves out. But because they were told early enough in the day, I think it helped the players tremendously because they didn't have to go deep into their preparations. They could at least relax, go back, do kind of have a normal day, a normal afternoon and evening, and then prepare this morning for a tough match.
I kept thinking about Simona Halep because physically she had been through so much. It was probably good for her to have that day off.
I think so. She went through a tough 3-set match. Pennetta as well, Flavia Pennetta against Kvitova. But I think with all things being equal, players would have rather played and stayed in that match rhythm. But definitely, if you're going to be canceled, it's better to be canceled earlier rather than later.
Well, ladies first today as well. Let's begin looking at our women's semifinals. The focus of today's IBM Insights is the semifinal matchup featuring Serena Williams and Roberta Vinci. Serena Williams leads the head-to-head with Roberta Vinci 4-0 and has yet to lose a set to her. Vinci is a good all-court player but doesn't have the power to dictate the pace of play against Serena. Williams uses her big serves and big returns to grab control of the points from the first strike, and Vinci has not been able to overcome that. Vinci has been able to save a lot of break points so far at the U.S. Open, but look for Serena to apply pressure, take advantage, and convert those break points. This is a match that will be tough for Vinci to win, but Serena could be threatened if she's off her game. Can Roberta Vinci end Serena's quest for history? We'll find out today. Chanda, as I look at those numbers, it just further reinforces what a lopsided matchup tennis-wise this is between Vinci and Williams, aside from the calendar year Grand Slam.
Right.
But that in and of itself may be Vinci's best hope, that Serena is feeling the calendar year Grand Slam pressure.
Well, it's a lopsided matchup as well. Serena's won the only 4 times they've played. She's won every meeting. But I think it could play in Roberta Vinci's favor, primarily because there's zero pressure on her and there is tremendous pressure on Serena. She does feel nerves, Serena, but she's handled it very well in the last 4 Grand Slams, of course, and throughout this U.S. Open. So I think for Vinci, if she can create a little havoc in that match, mix things up a little bit more, and really keep things even to start, keep the pressure in the match, that could help her. That and the fact that nobody expects her to win.
Here's another thing that I think may play in Vinci's favor. It is a very blustery, cool day today. If conditions were perfect, absolutely in Serena's favor. But anytime you have a little wind and you have some conditions, that with Vinci, the way she hits all the spin and the slice.
And the drop shot, she can come into the net, she can play in the midcourt area, she can take the pace off, and as you said, mix up the spins. And when you have a blustery day like this, that can cause a problem, especially for a big hitter who wants to hit through the court. That's not always possible.
I guess bottom line, if you're thinking of just skipping that match because you think Serena's going to blow Vinci out, don't. And we've just given you reasons why not to. So let's talk about the other semifinal, though. We expect to be close. We expect to be a battle. Halep and Pennetta.
Well, Pennetta actually leads that head-to-head between these two players, but the 3 times that Pennetta won, it was before Halep has become the player she is today. In their last meeting on hardcourt, Halep actually won that one. She's in a great rhythm. She's confident, has done well in the summer swing before this year's U.S. Open. But, Flavia Pennetta, she potentially may be looking at retirement. She's playing with complete freedom. She's enjoying her tennis. She's having a great U.S. Open. Again, this is probably her favorite Grand Slam. She's had the best results here. So there are some intangibles. Nerves come into play for everyone, and it's going to come down to who deals with the nerves best to start that match. And, if it gets tight, Pennetta has a great shot.
Well, if you're making semis of the U.S. Open, why consider retirement?
That's a good question. Maybe she was considering it before the semifinals of the U.S. Open, and maybe she'll reconsider. But certainly, Flavia Pennetta has had a great career. She's been a fighter, both in singles and in doubles. She's one of those players that compete extremely well, and she's made a career out of that. So I think she can be just aggressive enough against Halep to maybe cause Halep some issues and get some opportunities to close out, maybe tuck a set away under her belt, and then it's a match and it's anybody's game.
Well, again, that match is coming up at the top of the hour at 11 a.m. Let's transition now to the men's semifinals, which will take place this afternoon at 5 Eastern. Renee Stubbs is providing us with our IBM Game Changers piece, which focuses on some data and analytics regarding the men's semifinals.
I'm here with Elizabeth O'Brien from IBM, and you guys have been keeping the stats all tournament long. And one of the things that was really interesting is the discrepancy between first and second serves with the men.
Yeah, we've seen in some cases there's really a difference, a significant difference in the effectiveness of the first and the second serve, and not so much for others.
You think about a player like Novak Djokovic, for example. Novak is so good at winning first and second serves. He doesn't rely so heavily on the big first serve. Such a terrific mover around the court, and he doesn't really panic when he doesn't get his first serve in.
Yeah, last year's champion, Cilic, has almost a 25% difference between the effectiveness of his first and second serve.
Well, someone like Cilic is such a dominant first serve. He has such a big serve, and we saw that last year in particular, how dominant his serve was against players like Federer and, of course, Nishikori in the final. He has such a big second serve as well. But for me, the serve for him is very important to get the point started in the positive. He doesn't want to do a lot of defending, but that big first serve is so dominant when it goes in the court, and it's very, very accurate.
Stan Wawrinka, who has about a 25% difference between the effectiveness of his first and second serve.
Well, Stan has such a big flat serve, so he does rely on that serve to get himself some free points and certainly to set up the big second shot. His second serve is not going to be as effective as his first serve because he doesn't defend as well as some of the great defenders, like in particular Djokovic. So for Stan, it's not unusual that he's winning a lot more first serves than second serves, but then again, he's still a very big hitter from the baseline.
Federer, who has about a 20% difference between the effectiveness of his first and second serves.
Well, Roger is truly not given enough credit for how good his first serve is. He's absolutely dominant. It's really hard to read his serve in particular. I think a lot of players will say that that is one of the strengths of Roger Federer's serve. The first serve, the positioning, the second serve, he's still such a tremendous player.
So we'll be watching first and second serves through the semis and the finals.
Well, and we'll be keeping an eye on to make sure the guys that are dominant on the first serves continue to be dominant on the first serves, because the second serves, that's where they're going to get in trouble.
Okay, thanks, Renee. You know, when you look at the data and the analytics of these matches, it would tell us that Federer and Djokovic are going to meet in the final. But I can remember last year, the data and the analytics were telling us Djokovic and Federer would be in the final. We had Nishikori and Cilic. They still have to play the matches.
Exactly, and Cilic, if you look at those numbers, he has one of the best serves in the game as well. And you know, he has a great first serve. He can really get aggressive and open up his points using that shot. And then the second serve is not bad either. And because from the ground, he's so solid for a big man. So there are some intangibles there. You can't just automatically put Djokovic and Federer in the finals.
No, you can't. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Djokovic-Cilic semifinal. That will be coming up at not before 5 p.m. Djokovic has never lost to Cilic, 13-0.
Well, Cilic has the worst record against Novak Djokovic out of any player currently playing. And, you know, that doesn't bode well for his chances here at the U.S. Open. But Cilic is on a 12-match winning streak after winning last year, getting to the semis again this year. So if he's going to ever turn that matchup around, it may be here in New York, and it could be this year. But Djokovic is definitely looking very clean. He was a little shaky on his serve a few times in a couple of his matches, but he's managed to turn it around even when he's gotten a little frustrated with himself. And that is a good sign for Djokovic, that he's dealing well with any frustrations that could come up or that could arise in a match, especially on a day like today.
Well, to borrow a line from Vitas Gerulaitis, nobody beats Marin Cilic 14 times in a row. Or do they? And we're going to find out at 5. Now, the match after that is very interesting. Federer and Wawrinka, two Swiss players. It seems like everybody's been talking about how bad Wawrinka's played for 2 weeks, but he keeps winning.
He keeps winning, and he's such a strong guy around the court. He has the ability to serve his way out of trouble. The backhand, of course, is one of the biggest shots in the game, and absolutely pulverizes the ball at times. I think because these guys know each other so well, I think it will be a good match, and it's always an interesting matchup. With that being said, Roger Federer dominates that matchup, but Stan Wawrinka beat Roger Federer for the first time this year in a Grand Slam at Roland Garros. So I think that shifted things just a little bit, and he could definitely trouble Roger Federer because he knows his game so well, and he has the ability to hit through the court. As well as Roger Federer has been playing, this could be a tough one for him.
Well, you just gave us a reason why Wawrinka has a chance. Now I'm going to counter that with why Wawrinka doesn't have a chance. The 3 matches he's beaten Federer have all been on clay.
Right.
He's never beaten him on the hard court.
I didn't want you to point that out.
It's so
but
fun.
yes.
It's so fun to defend Federer.
It is. It's not a hard task either.
I mean, we could watch highlights of Federer for the rest of this show and just be in awe of the way he's played in this tournament. But he's got to keep it going.
It's been phenomenal, and we've known Roger Federer to be an absolute maestro on the court. But at this year's U.S. Open, he's raised it another level. He's upped the ante a little bit more, and it's hard to believe that was possible. But that's what's going to make it a tough day for Stan Wawrinka as well. You definitely have to like Roger Federer's chances.
Do you think it's more likely for a Federer-Djokovic final this year or last year?
I think it's more likely this year.
Okay, we'll have to wait and see. The women's semifinals and the men's semifinals coming up in just a little bit. Time now for our IBM Game Changers question of the day. And here's our IBM Game Changers question of the day. What's more important, power or placement?
I think in today's game, I lean towards power, but I'll say placement, because if you can, if you even have a little less power but can place your serve in a certain spot, I think it can be just as effective.
I'm going to have to go with placement on that one.
I say both. Just power alone without placement and a variety with your power. I don't believe that just sheer power can make you a champion.
Placement.
I would like to say placement, but I think in the end it's power which actually gives you the opportunity to make the placement.
Depends on who you're playing. If you've got a big serve and you're, 6'10", there's not much you can do about placement because you've got to move to get to the ball, and that's power on the serve. But if you're a little fella that runs around like Nishikori, it's probably placement.
If you are just placing the ball and it's soft and weak, all you're going to do is open up angles for your opponent to hurt you with. If you're hitting powerful shots, and they're just going down the middle of the court and fairly deep, you're still very tough to hurt, and you're going to cough up some errors.
Power is massive, but at the same time, the players that win consistently are the ones with the best placement of the ball.
Join our conversation and let us know what you think at #GameChangersIBM, and also weigh in on tomorrow's question, which is, what's the future of analytics in sports? I'm looking forward to that. We were talking about that earlier today, how when you played, if you had all the data and analytics, if you would use them when you played. But I want to get back to the semifinals today, Chanda. Some final thoughts here. It is a big day for tennis. All 4 semifinals to be played. You want to add anything to the 4 that we haven't covered?
No, but I'm just excited to see how this day shapes up. A lot at stake for a lot of players. Simona Halep trying to get to her first U.S. Open final, and Serena Williams still in the hunt for the Grand Slam. So an exciting day for the men as well. I think we have the big 2 that we're kind of expecting, but the 2 guys that they play can really upset the card. And they have the ability, so a great day and exciting matchups.
We'll see if those big 2 learned a lesson from last year. So again, we'll be back tomorrow at 11:30 a.m., but you can participate in the program by including the #InsideBaseline via Twitter or Instagram. For Chanda Rubin, I'm Sam Gore. Enjoy this fantastic Friday. You've been watching Inside the Baseline, presented by IBM.